Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this 95th episode of Gyan Pravah, a podcast series, Foxy Presidential Initiative by our beloved Foxy President, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar. She is from my own city of Pune, and she is the current president of Foxy for the year 2025-26. Amongst many different initiatives what she has started, this is one of the initiatives wherein we have a podcast with some celebrity, with some very well-known person every day from 8 to 9. We have a discussion with that person for an hour on a typical a particular topic. And today we have Dr. Jagannath Dikshit, who has joined us for this 95th episode of the podcast. Now, before we start and before I introduce him, I would like Dr. Ashwini Kai, who is the Joint Secretary for this year for Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, to say a few words, and then we can start the actual discussion. Over to you, Dr. Ashwini.
Thank you so much, Chaitanya. I was to listen to him, and we were very lucky to have him in POGS as well, which is our Pune OBGYN Society. Sir, at Foxy, we represent 46,000 gynecologists all over the country. So basically, this year, even one of our initiatives is Know Your Number, which is the brainchild of Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, madam, who was our president. So here we are taking four important key parameters for all the women aged above 12 years, where we are seeking their hemoglobin, weight, blood pressure, and their blood sugars, whether it is random or HbA1c. And we are educating them and creating an awareness to optimize all these four parameters so that their health, right from menarche to menopause, is taken care of. And in a similar way, our another initiative is Sampurna, which is the preconceptional care. So here also we are looking at optimizing the weight of the lady so that when she becomes pregnant, all these parameters are optimized, like her thyroid, her hemoglobin, her blood pressure, and her weight as well. Because India is slowly becoming the obesity capital. And I think this is a right initiative, and this will definitely create a lot of awareness, not only among the common people, but also amongst the doctors as well. Because we see a lot of stress and obesity these days, even in our profession, also as doctors. So, who better than you addressing us in a very simple way? So, over to you, Chaitanya, for this amazing podcast. I will join from the viewers link. Thank you so much, Dixit sir, for joining us.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much, Dr. Ashwini. Now, let's start with the actual podcast. And before we start and go actually on to the questions, let me formally introduce today's speaker, Dr. Jagannath Dikshit. He is presently working as professor at the Department of P&SM at BZ GMC Medical College, Pune, and that happens to be my alma mater as well. But we know him popularly as the proponent of Dikshit diet. So, sir, we all know you by that name more than being a professor and the teacher at BJGMC. Obviously, since I am the alma mater of the same institution, I know you even before that. But he was basically inspired by the late Dr. Srikant Jitskar, who initiated this concept initially, but then now it's been taken ahead by Dr. Jagannath Dikshit, and he has initiated the World Free of Obesity and Diabetes campaign, and that's exactly the subject of today's discussion. Through social media like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Telegram, lakhs of members from 43 different countries are directly connected with this campaign. Dr. Dikshit sir and his coordinators of the campaign have delivered more than 500 lectures on this topic, and that's been in different languages like English, Hindi, Kannada, and Marathi. He is appointed as the brand ambassador for its Fight Obesity campaign by the government of Maharashtra. He is also the chairman of Association for Diabetes and Obesity Reversal Trust, which he has founded for realizing the aim of world free of diabetes and obesity. He was invited by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to deliver lectures for the Prime Minister's Office, Special Protection Group, and MPs under Fit India campaign in December 2019. He is the world record holder for the longest diabetes awareness campaign by an individual, which is recognized by the World Record Community USA in September 2023. Welcome, Jagannath Dixit sir, and we are glad and we are happy and we are grateful that you accepted our invitation to be on this podcast today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaitanya. I am actually grateful to Foxy, Dr. Sunita, and Dr. Ashwini, and the initiatives that you have taken for healthy women of this country. I'm indeed very happy to see that Foxy is taking steps in the right direction. So I'm very happy to come on this podcast, and I'm very sure the discussion will be very fruitful and useful to all the people who would be listening to this podcast.
Sir, let's start with my own success story. I have
Right.
been diabetic for last 7-8 years, and my HbA1c has been around 7.1 or so. And I was on two different anti-diabetic drugs, sitagliptin and metformin. And I met Dr. Dixit for the first time in 2023, and I distinctly remember it was my birthday on 2023, 3rd of March, when I actually started following the Dixit diet. And my HbA1c came down from 7.1 to 6 with the diet itself. My sitagliptin was stopped. Metformin, I have reduced from 500 now to 250 milligrams twice a day. And I'm hoping that in the days to come, I would also be off that metformin as well. So that's the success story for me, and that's the reason why I felt that, sir, you should be there for the podcast and discussing about this particular concept, what the concept is, so on and so forth for the next 1 hour. Sir, the first question to you is that everyone is saying that nowadays diabetes and obesity are growing globally quite a lot, and India is slowly becoming the global capital for both diabetes and obesity. Is this really true? What is the current scenario of both the diabetes and obesity in India? If you can throw a light on that.
Right. So, Chaitanya, what is happening is at the time of independence, our prevalence of type 2 diabetes was roughly 1%.
Okay.
And recent report of ICMR of 2024, which was released in April, it says that after the age of 20 years, 11.5% people in India are diabetics, 15% are pre-diabetics, some 37% are hypertensives. And if you look at obesity, you find that 52% of Indian men have got protruding bellies, and 12.5% of our children in the age of 12 to 18 years are obese. So this is the reality of India as of now. And we were in obesity, if you look at the ranks, if you look at 1975, we were ranking 19th and 20th in males and females in obesity.
Okay.
But if you look at now, we find that we have reached the 3rd and 5th position in the world. So definitely our obesity and diabetes, both problems are increasing, but we still have not become capital of diabetes. And I'm very sure the campaign that we are running, World Free of Obesity and Diabetes, I'm very sure that India will never become capital of diabetes if everybody follows this lifestyle.
I'm happy to hear that we are not yet the capital of diabetes and obesity in the world, and because of the efforts what you are putting in and all the coordinators who are working relentlessly with you, we would not become the capital of obesity and diabetes in the world. So you are the world record holder of the longest diabetes awareness campaign by an individual. But I would like to, go back into the past that you were happy teaching, being a professor at the Department of Preventive and Social Medicine. How, what made you, think of going into this campaign? What made you? We know you have said quite a few times that you were inspired by Dr. Srikant Jitkar, but there has to be some starting point because of
Yeah.
which you indulged in. We would like to know the story behind that.
Yeah. So thanks for asking that question, because for me the lifestyle started in 2012. And when I was trying to lose my weight, I wanted to lose about 8 kg weight.
Okay.
And I tried different methods, this low fat, and then eating fruits and fasting and all that. So many things I tried. I wasted 1 year and lot of money also, because I did some shakes and other things also I tried that time. And ultimately, I came to a conclusion that all these diet plans,
Mm-hmm.
their effects are either very short duration of 2 months, 3 months. And once I stop that diet plan and come back to my regular food, my weight again went back to normal. And in some of the diet plans, actually, I put on weight while I was doing it. So I
Oh,
got frustrated as a professor. I said, I was thinking that it should be very easy, because weight and obesity is so simplified in our books, saying that if you eat 100 calories more for 70 days, you will put 1 kg weight. So the converse is, if you reduce 100 calories for 70 days, you should lose 1 kg. But
oh,
that never happened in my case. So I was frustrated. And then I was really wondering what can be done. And then at that time, one of my friends, he gave me the lecture of late Dr. Shikant Jiskar, which was on YouTube that time. And this lecture he had given in 2001 at Pune, Bal Gandharva Auditorium.
okay.
And
It was by Dr. Srikant Jitskar.
yeah, it was by Dr. Shikant Jiskar. Actually, unfortunately, I could not meet Dr. Jiskar in my lifetime.
Mm.
And because he expired in 2004 and watched his lecture in 2012. And in that lecture, he has, for the first time, he said that if you want to be healthy, take only 2 meals in a day, which was a very different concept for me. And in our medical college, calories in, calories out, and all that. So my hard disk was all full. And then, so I had to format it. And 3 months, I said, anyway, this man, I knew Dr. Jiskar very well, very talented person, having the highest number of degrees that time. And he was a politician. He was MD community medicine, the subject in which I am also MD. He was MBBS. He passed he cleared IPS in first attempt. Second
Oh,
attempt, he became IS. He became MLA. And before becoming MLA, he was appointed as minister in government of Maharashtra. Such a capable person. But
oh, okay.
because of that, what he said, I said, let me try this. Anyway, this man is not asking any money from me. So let me do it for 3 months. I did it for 3 months.
Okay.
I lost 8 kg and 2 inches from my belly. And
Oh,
then I realized that man, what he's saying, these are the pearls of wisdom. And then I experimented on all his ideas, whatever he has said. I experimented on it. In one of his lectures, he said he is going to write a book on this. Unfortunately, when I talked to his colleagues that time, of Raju Akolkar and others, and they could not give me anything because he has not written any book on that. So then I wrote a book on this theory, effortless weight loss and diabetes reversal. And it was in English, Hindi, Marathi, all the these things. And I experimented on myself that insulin was the main issue. Insulin was the main crux of his lectures. So
mhm.
I tried different food items. I consumed 18 food items. I gave my blood 54 times and tested my insulin levels. What happens after eating those food items? And then I came to know that which food items do not cause insulin secretion and which food items should not be consumed in between 2 meals. So that's how it started. So all my lectures, even this podcast, is dedicated to the memory of my mentor, late Dr. Jiskar.
Okay. So most of the teachings what you are doing right now are after experimenting on yourself. I mean, giving blood for 54 times to check the insulin levels. That is something a normal person will not think. So it's just not the teaching, but it's something which has got scientific background to it, scientific backing to it. Sir, as you are saying, right, you are the proponent of the dietary changes, and that's how we can control the diabetes, or even to the extent we are saying that there could be reversal of diabetes, and for that you have also started a society. So I always wondered, is diabetes reversal really real? Is there something called as diabetes reversal existent, or it is just for the sake of saying so? Because there are so many different, if you go on the Facebook, and I'm scrolling down, there are so many different ads that come up, that try our seminar, and then you will have diabetes reverse. Is it really existent?
So what happens is, in a non-communicable disease like diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
the concept of reversal now is replaced by remission. Because the reversal, by reversal we mean that is some bacterial infection is there and you give antibiotic and then you are
Yeah.
cured.
Yes.
So that happens in communicable diseases. But when we talk about diabetes, we don't talk about going back to the original situation where you could eat say half kilogram of gulab jam and your sugar would not increase. But what we are saying is if your HbA1c is below 6.5
Mm-hmm.
without medicine for at least 3 months, this is the accepted definition of diabetes remission.
Oh.
And now American Diabetes Association has accepted that yes, diabetes remission is possible, and they have suggested three different ways of doing it. They say it can happen by bariatric surgery. They say it can happen by a very low carbohydrate diet, like 20 to 40 grams of carbs in your diet. They also say it can happen by a very low calorie diet, like the UK trial, which was called direct trial, when they give 840 calories per day. And they found that after 1 year, about 59% of their 140 individuals who were on this diet, 59% could achieve diabetes remission. And after one more year, there are about 36-37% people who were having diabetes remission. So now diabetes remission is a reality. And there was a survey conducted before 7-8 months in India. And 260 diabetologists in India were asked the questions. First question asked was, is diabetes reversible? And 70% of them said, yes, it is reversible. They
Oh.
were asked the second question, how many of your patients can revert? They say 40% of our patients can revert diabetes. Then they were asked the third question that you know it is reversible, you know your patients can revert it. Why don't you tell your patients?
Hmm.
And the answers given were 89% said that our patient don't follow discipline. 45% people said that our patient don't have family support. And 29% of the diabetologists said that we want to do this, but we don't have a dietitian, we don't have a physical trainer and all that. So there is no doubt that diabetes remission is a reality. And because type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disorder, if it is because by a deranged lifestyle, then naturally we can cause diabetes remission by improving the lifestyle. Yeah, as simple as that.
Okay. So a very good point that you have brought out is that diabetes reversal should now be replaced by the term diabetes remission. So
Correct.
reversal should be replaced, should be for the communicable diseases, and remission should be there for the non-communicable diseases. Now, the at the core or at the center of your proponency is the diet, and we all know that it's very well known by the name of Dikshit diet. We come across quite a few different types of diets which have been asked to have for diabetes. What's the difference between all those fancy diets which have been prescribed by many of the dietitians, and even they are present on the internet as well, and the Dikshit diet? How does that reduce the sugars and obesity as well? I would like you to give this answer a little detail, because many of us don't know exactly that how it should be done.
So the first and fundamental thing that I would like to tell about what I am suggesting is not a diet. I am
Mhm.
suggesting a lifestyle. So diet is always a short-term activity. Diet is a very negative feeling. And diet means don't eat this, don't eat that, and all that. And diet you can do for 2-3 months. Like
That's true.
somebody is a vegetarian, I tell him to eat non-vegetarian, a very keto diet and this and that. So he can follow for 2-3 months. Cannot follow for lifetime. So I am suggesting the people call it Dikshit diet, but I call it Dikshit lifestyle because it is for lifetime and people can happily follow it for lifestyle. And for lifestyle, it should be free. It should not require to. You should not go to expert or doctor every time to consult. It should not require any equipment. It should not require any nutritional powder to be purchased from market. And you should be happily able to follow for a lifetime. That is the difference between Dikshit lifestyle and all other fancy diets that you get on internet.
That's so
Now,
true, because
if I tell
most
you,
of these diets, what are asked, it becomes stressful only to follow that diet. I have to keep reminding myself, I have to do this now, I have to do that now. So rather than concentrating on my work, what is going on in my mind the whole day is just to think about what am I going to eat next, what am I going to drink next.
Correct. Not only you, but your family also is revolving around your diet.
Yes.
That is a great problem. So if we go to the principle of this Dikshit lifestyle, is that if your insulin level increases, you become obese, you get insulin resistance, and then you get type 2 diabetes. This is the principle. Now, what has happened is we have mistaken diabetes as a disease of blood sugar.
Mm.
So all our efforts are towards reducing blood sugar, taking care of blood sugar.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have insulin in your body, you suffer from type 1 diabetes. And if you have too much of insulin, which is not working properly, then you land into type 2 diabetes.
Mm.
If that is the cause behind your diabetes, that insulin is the cause, then we should at least test what is the fasting insulin level in a person. Unfortunately, many of the doctors, many of the diabetologists, physicians also, they make fun when we recommend fasting insulin. They say it's of no use. It is mindless to do it. Now, when you say that a diabetic, when he comes to you and you tell the diabetic that 50% of your beta cells are already destroyed,
Mm.
and I will start with you medicines, then what tests you do? Or because you are so talented that you can look at the person and tell that your insulin is gone down. So doing fasting insulin is mindless, or not doing fasting insulin is mindless, is my question to all the physicians. The question is, if insulin level is more, you get this problem. So our effort should be to reduce the insulin level. And
Mm.
if you want to do that, let us understand how insulin in our body is secreted. Now we know that it is beta cells in pancreas, they secrete insulin. But there
Yeah.
are two ways in which it is secreted. One is called as baseline secretion. And by that I mean 24 hours, your pancreas would go on secreting small amounts of insulin, and they would secrete about 18 to 32 units of insulin per day. And the peculiarity of the secretion is it is involuntary in nature. You cannot do anything about it. It is necessary for your survival. So
So
this is one way of insulin
in
secretion.
spite of whether you are having anything orally and as a response to that, it's not like that. Even if you are
No.
starving, that much insulin would be secreted every day. That's what you are saying.
Yeah, that is the baseline secretion.
Okay.
Now the secretion, the other way of secretion is every time you will eat, you will secrete in insulin. And it is expected that out of the total insulin you require in 24 hours, 50% should come by baseline method and 50% by your eating episodes. Now, the insulin that is secreted because of eating episodes, it has three peculiarities. First peculiarity is that every time you will eat, you will secrete a particular amount of insulin, which is different for different people. So one may secrete 2 units, other may secrete 10, third may secrete 12 units. Second peculiarity is there is some argument about this, about in the physicians, what I'm saying, that it is independent of the quantity of food consumed. That if you, whether you eat less or more food, you will secrete similar amount of insulin with every eating episode. And third peculiarity is because the insulin secretion is a cyclical process, the first peak occurs at 10 minutes, second peak occurs at 55 minutes, then it goes down slowly in 3.5 hours to baseline. So this is the way insulin is secreted. So irrespective of the quantity, so if you eat one apple or you have two chapatis and you are vegetable, you will secrete the same amount of insulin. And now
It's
people
all or
argue
none.
with me about this. Yeah,
It's
all or
all
none.
or none.
Now, so I will give some references for this. That the Williams textbook of endocrinology, which is a book for diabetologists. William had conducted experiments. He gave 20% calories in breakfast, 40% in lunch, 40% in dinner,
Mm.
and he observed the insulin secretion. And he concludes that we found that insulin secretion was more or less the same. This is mentioned by Dr. William, who wrote a textbook.
Okay.
We conducted another experiment, and which was published in a very good journal. 18 volunteers were asked to take X, 2X, and 3X quantities of food on 3 consecutive days, and they were asked to go to the lab in fasting state. And we measured their insulin level at 0, 10, and 60 minutes. And we found that there is no linear relationship between quantity of food consumed and insulin secreted. So
Okay.
what we are saying is right, that if you reduce your eating frequency, your insulin will go down. The function of insulin, as we know, that it is a conserving hormone. It is a switch. If the insulin level is more, body will always burn glucose. When the insulin level will go down, then only body will touch the fatty acid. This is the physiology that we know. The
Mm.
first function of insulin is to open the insulin receptor locks and make glucose go to the cells. After that function is over, insulin will convert extra glucose into glycogen and store in your muscles and liver. The muscle, it stores about 400 grams, and liver, it stores about 100 grams. After that, these functions are over, that opening receptor locks and making glucose go and converting into glycogen. Whatever extra glucose is there, insulin converts that into fatty acid and stores as fats. So one doesn't have to eat oil, ghee, or butter to become obese. One can easily do it by eating rice and chapati and dal, because all the glucose present in that is converted to fat. So this is how we have reached the first point of the principle, that more insulin will make you obese. Now, how it causes insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, let us understand. And for that, we have to go back to the history of human beings. And when human beings came on earth, we were living in jungles like any other animal.
Right.
And we lived in jungles for 6 lakh years, quite a long time. And last 10,000 years only we are out of jungle. This urban life is only 10,000 years. Out of that, 6,000 years we know agriculture. So when we are in jungle, no rice, no chapati, we were not doing anything. Like any other animal, we were killing animals and eating. That was the only thing we knew that time. And if you want to kill the animal, you have to run behind the animal. And you should be lucky that after killing the animal also, if a lion or tiger will follow you, you have to run away. So eating was not very common. Eating was not happening every day. If you eat today, it could happen after 21 days, 30 days. It may not happen, you will die. That was the ground reality of our life. So our physiological cycle was feasting and fasting. So whenever you get food to eat, eat as much as possible. So what insulin will do, will convert extra calories, extra glucose into fats, and you have to burn the fat when you don't get anything to eat. That's how our jungle life went. So our cells and bodies are designed for starvation and not for overeating. So for cells, insulin is a guest, because you don't know when it is coming. So expectation from the guest is that guest has to come for 2 days and then go. Then only you can enjoy the guest. But if the guest comes for 2 days and stays with you for 2 months, then he becomes annoyance. So the way we are living today, from morning our bed tea to our masala pan in the night or ice cream in the night, people are secreting insulin 15, 20 times in a day without their knowledge. So they are secreting 100 units, 150 units of insulin, and they require only 18 to 32 units of insulin. So that extra insulin, that unwanted guest, is troubling the cells. So to resist that, the cells would change their shapes. When they change the shape of receptor changes. In simple language, if there is a lock and I hit the lock with hammer 10 times, the lock gets damaged. Now key cannot work. So insulin cannot open the locks. So the glucose cannot go to the cells. Message goes to the brain that we are not getting glucose. Now the brain will look into the bloodstream and finds a lot of glucose. So what the brain will do? Brain thinks that possibly my keys are less in number or my keys are not working properly. And in both the situations, brain will increase the dose of insulin that the person is secreted after eating every time. So from 5 units, suppose somebody is secreting, it may become 10 units. This is nothing but development of insulin resistance. And with this more insulin, some glucose will start going to the cells. But again, more locks get damaged. Resistance will increase. Brain will make from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. And ultimately a stage comes that in your blood there is a lot of insulin, there is a lot of glucose. But now the resistance has increased so much so that glucose cannot go to the cells. It is trapped in the bloodstream and passed through the urine. And because there is so much of glucose in the blood, body cannot utilize the second legitimate fuel, that is fatty acid. Because in the fuel there is a priority. That glucose, because it cannot be stored, must be finished first. When the glucose is there in the blood, body cannot utilize fatty acids. So it cannot use glucose, it cannot use fatty acids. So because there is no option, it goes to the third fuel, that is the amino acids, which are present in proteins, which are present in your muscles. Now using proteins or amino acids for energy purpose is like mortgaging your house, and nobody will do it happily. So then you have muscle loss, weight loss, and your sugar is 300, 400, HbA1c is 8, 9. You go to the diabetologist, and then you are labeled to have type 2 diabetes. So that's how the raised level of insulin cause obesity, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. Unfortunately, we don't measure insulin. So when you are diagnosed with diabetes, you have the highest level of insulin in your lifetime. So this is how Dikshit lifestyle, I explained you the principle.
Okay. So there's a basic perspective change from how you look at diabetes. So as you rightly said, that all of us, even me, till the time we discussed on this, I was of the opinion that diabetes is when the blood sugar levels are high. So we never, thought of it from the insulin resistance perspective, or the insulin actual levels which are there in the blood. They are high, and that's the reason why ultimately the blood sugar levels are high, because of the insulin resistance that has developed over years. And that's the reason why your sugars are high, and that's when you are labeled as having type 2 diabetes. So it's a perspective shift or change which you need to understand, you need to accept, because then only you would be more active, or you would be more willing to do what you are asking them to do, the change in the lifestyle, by eating twice a day. Now, when you say that you should be eating twice a day, are there any particular timings at which you should be eating this? Number one. Number two, are there any particular products or dishes that you say that should be consumed? And when I heard for the first time, someone told me that Dikshit lifestyle has two components. One, you have to eat twice a day, and second one, each meal should be finished, or taken in 55 minutes, should not be more than 55 minutes for one meal. Now, what is this concept of 55 minutes? And the first question, obviously, that what are the different components of the diet?
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
So let me explain you what is the advice given in the lifestyle. The first advice is that eat 2 meals in a day when you are really hungry, because hunger should be the stimulus for eating. If you are hungry, then your digestive juice and everything will be all right, and you will digest the food item. So 2 times you have to eat. Now there is no timetable. People
Okay.
are hungry. Some people are hungry in the morning. Some people are hungry in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So there is no timetable. You can find out your own timing and eat at that time. There is no concept of 8 hours or 10 hours gap also. Your two hunger times will decide the gap also. The first thing is eat twice when you're really hungry. The second is finish in the 55 minutes. Not that you have to eat for 55 minutes. People confuse happily with that also.
Correct.
That you can finish in 20-25 minutes also, but maximum time is 55. Though I don't have any scientific reference for this. But what happens is normally, because the first peak occurs at 10 minutes, second occurs at 55 minutes. And if you equate or use maybe analogy of the contraction of heart muscle, then we know that when we learned in physiology first year, that if you give a stimulus when it is having the systolic phase, you don't get a booster effect. But when it is in diastolic, you give another booster, then there is a response, booster effect. Same thing happens with vaccines also. That if you have to get a booster effect, you cannot give vaccines on the 3 days consecutively. You have to wait for 4 weeks.
Correct.
So, and anyway, for our meals, we require 25-30 minutes. So 55 is too much of it. I don't have much reference for that, but you can finish in 55 minutes. That is the third thing is you have to reduce carbohydrates and increase proteins in your diet. Because what happens is Indian diets are full of carbs. We eat about 80% of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And now ICMR says that you should eat about 45 or 50% of your food as carbohydrates. So you have to reduce it. And you have to increase proteins. But that doesn't mean you have to buy some veg or whey protein from market. Because you hardly require 0.83 grams per kilogram body weight.
Sir, when you
Which is
say reduce carbs, sorry to interrupt, when you say
Yeah.
reduce carb and increase proteins, is there a proportion which you think that is right of the total portion what you are going to have for your say lunch or dinner? 20% should be this, 80% should be this. Is there any proportion of this carbs to versus proteins versus fat versus what vitamins and minerals?
So I'll just finish the advice about the lifestyle. I
Yes.
said reduce carbs, increase proteins. And the fourth important thing is even if you are a non-diabetic, avoid sugars and sweets as much as possible. They are bad for health. And one can live 100 years of life without taking a pinch of sugar. So this is the four things about diet. Eat twice when you're hungry, finish in 55 minutes, reduce carbs, increase proteins, avoid sugars and sweets as much as possible. And with this, go for exercise. You can walk 4.5 kilometers at a stretch. You can cycle 12 to 15 kilometers. You can do Surya Namaskar 45 at a stretch. So any exercise that will burn about 250 to 300 calories, you have to do every day. This is the lifestyle. And this lifestyle is not to be followed by three types of people: children below 18 years of age, pregnant and lactating mothers till the baby is 9 months old, and third category is patients of type 1 diabetes. So this is the lifestyle. Now you are asking about the composition of diet. Now ICMR says that about 55% carbohydrates of different types you can have. It says that 15-20% you can have proteins and remaining you should have fat. This is what is the proportion. But if I ask you that do you eat food items like carbohydrates, proteins and fats? We eat chapati, we eat rice, we eat dal. We eat food items. We don't eat carbs and proteins.
Correct.
So what I have done in this lifestyle, we have suggested a sequence of food items. So what happens if you follow the sequence of food items, automatically all these things are taken care of. And in a mass campaign, it is not a one-to-one counseling. It's a
Right.
mass campaign.
Right.
So we tell people that you can start your meal with, if you are a non-diabetic, you can start your meal with nuts, fruits, dry fruits, or sweet dish if you are going to take it. Followed by that, a bowl of salad. Bowl of salad means if you cut a medium-sized cucumber and tomato, whatever material is there, that much salad you should eat. Followed by that, a bowl of sprouts or 2 boiled eggs. The sprout can be raw, it can be cooked as per your digestive power. And once you finish these 3 food items, you can eat whatever you get to eat. So it can be, suppose in your family there is a pizza ordered and there are 4 members. So there are 4 pieces of pizza. You can have your piece in that 55-minute slot. So this is for non-diabetic. If somebody is a pre-diabetic or diabetic, then they should start your meal with 4 almonds and 4 walnuts or a fistful of groundnuts. You can soak it overnight and eat as the first thing in the meal. Followed by that, a bowl of salad. Same like non-diabetic, but this diabetics, pre-diabetic should not eat carrot and beet. That increases blood sugar. Followed by that, a bowl of sprouts or 2 boiled eggs. And then they can eat whatever they want to eat, except the diabetic, pre-diabetic should not take sweets. By that I mean sugar, jaggery, honey or sugar substitutes. And they should not take any fruits. So this is the difference between a non-diabetic and pre-diabetic diabetic diet. In between 2 meals, if a non-diabetic is hungry, because suppose somebody is eating 10 times, tomorrow he'll start eating 2 times. So psychologically, there will be some hunger, there will be headache, weakness and all that. So non-diabetic can take water. He can take thin homemade buttermilk, take 2 spoons of curd and make 200 milliliter of buttermilk. He can also take tea, coffee with 25% milk. He can also take tea, coffee without any flavor. Green tea, black tea or black coffee without any flavor. Don't add sugar, jaggery, honey or sugar substitute. And these 4 items can be taken as many times as the person wants, as much quantity as he wants. Even he can take tender coconut water once in a day, and he can take maximum 1 tomato in a day. So these 6 items are for non-diabetics. If you are a pre-diabetic or diabetic, you are allowed only 3 items. One is water, second is buttermilk, third is green tea, black tea or black coffee without any flavor. No addition of sugar, jaggery, honey and sugar substitute. These items can be taken as many times as you want, as much as you want. So other 3 items, the tea, coffee with 25% milk, tender coconut water once in a day and a tomato once in a day are not allowed for pre-diabetics and diabetics. This is the lifestyle that we are suggesting.
Okay. So when you're saying that we should be taking meals only twice for both diabetes as well as non-diabetic, but who are obese, especially in diabetics, do they get hunger pranks in between? I mean, what is the practicality in that? Have you come across patients who come back, ki, sir, nahi ho raha hai?
What happens is because the advice given to them when they go to a doctor is eat every 3 to 4 hours. That is the advice.
Right.
And we know that insulin makes you hungry. The function of insulin is make you hungry. So if you eat more times, you will be hungry more times. If you experiment that if you fast for a longer time, you are not more hungry. You are less hungry after the fast. But diabetics, what happens is because they are taking medicines, they can land into hypoglycemia.
Correct.
So we have to be careful. We have to advise diabetics about this lifestyle. If it is metformin, we don't worry much about the hypoglycemia. But they are taking sulfonylureas, glimepiride and all.
Right.
So what we do at our clinics, first of all, what we tell them that we can, if the HbA1c is below 7 and they are taking glimepiride and all that, so we reduce the dose to 50% immediately so that don't get hypoglycemia. So hunger pangs are there, mostly they are psychological. So even if they drink a glass of water, that settles down most of the times. So that's not a major issue for us.
Yeah, I remember when I was on sitagliptin, my diabetologist categorically told me that if you're going to have the medicines after your breakfast, you should have your meal at any cost, because otherwise it's a possibility that you might land up in hypoglycemia. So that was a typical prescription what he had given me, that you should not forget to have your lunch. Now, many a times there is a concept of having calories rather than the amount of what you are eating. So, say overall calorie requirement of the day is say 1200 and or 1500 calories. Then divide it into 3 meals, 4 meals, and take that much calories. That should take care of your blood sugar levels. As against that, how do you compare our diet of or our lifestyle of having it twice a day with this concept? Many diabetologists come up with this concept.
So my simple question to all of them is that if a public health expert like me, I can tell you and I can give you evidence that in my Pune center, there are at least 350 people now who are without medicine. Nagpur center, there are about 82 people who are without medicine. And I am doing this diabetes work for last 10, 12 years. And if you are doing practice of diabetology for say 30 years, 40 years, and even you are not stopped medicine in a single patient, even not reduced medicine in single patient, I think it is your responsibility to look at me what I am doing. That is my first request to all people, because I am not a quack. I am not exploiting. This
Yes.
campaign is absolutely free of cost. I don't take a single rupee from anybody. So if that is so, and I am in public domain, we have published at least 13 research papers on this lifestyle. So it is I think it is a responsibility of the physicians and diabetologists to look at what I'm doing. And if it is really helping people, they should also think about it. I'm not saying that they should trust it, but they should at least give a look at this. What is happening? How people medicines are stopped, how people medicines are reduced, all that. So if eating multiple times would have helped, I will give one example. There was a study conducted in Prague, and 54 patients of diabetes, they were divided into two groups, and they were on medicines. 27 patients were asked to eat 6 meals a day, which is the normal advice, and 27 were asked to eat 2 meals a day. And this is published in the PubMed Index journal. What they found? They found that people taking 2 meals, their blood sugars were better controlled than those who are taking 6 meals. Then they said this can happen by chance, so let us cross over them. So people taking 2 meals were asked to take 6 meals, and people taking 6 meals were asked to take 2 meals, and they again followed them. What happened? People shifting from 2 to 6, their blood sugar control deranged, and who shifted from 6 to 2, it improved. So the hypothesis was doubly proved that by reducing eating frequency, you will definitely improve your blood sugar control. Unfortunately, such studies are not highlighted, and there is enough evidence to say that even in diabetics, this lifestyle helps.
Interesting. I mean, what amazes me about all this, is the depth of knowledge or the depth of research what you have gone into before coming out with this recommendation of the lifestyle modification or change to the general public. That amazes me a lot. Another thing what is important here to understand for all of us is that when we say 2 meals and we can eat for 55 minutes, many times we are under the impression that you can eat whatever you want. Even if you are a diabetic, if you want to eat a sweet, you can eat it during that 55 minutes. I am good with that. So that's what is not the case or is not the recommendation. If you are a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, you should avoid taking sweets once in a while. Maybe it could be fine, but majority of the times we should be avoiding it, isn't it? Okay. I was just wondering, sir, what we are discussing for last say 30-35 minutes is all about insulin resistance, is all about insulin hyperinsulinemia, and the increased blood sugar levels. Now, I just had this in my mind that whenever I hear the word insulin resistance, for me as a gynecologist, the first thing what comes in my mind is polycystic ovarian syndrome. We always keep on talking about this PCOS and insulin resistance. The hallmark of PCOS is hyperandrogenemia and hyperinsulinemia. And the reason why what we give for this hyperinsulinemia is the insulin resistance. Now, if this, and even almost 50% of women who have PCOS are also obese. So as you rightly said, that insulin resistance in high levels of insulin would lead to obesity. Now, can the lifestyle changes which you are propagating would help us in reducing the burden of PCOS as well? Because PCOS is on a rise in our country. And as you are doing the campaign for diabetes and obesity, can we add, PCOS also as a component of the campaign? Have you done any studies on that, and what is your results or outcomes?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And we are working on PCOS because, as you know, that uh, the estradiol and the follicular stimulating hormone,
Yeah.
estradiol and luteinizing hormone. So these three are required for ovulation, for development of egg and all that. And because insulin resistance will inhibit the aromatase enzyme that converts testosterone into estradiol.
Yes.
So when you have insulin resistance, you don't have estradiol. When you don't have estradiol, then all those problems would start. So insulin resistance is the key point. That is for sure.
Yes.
And let me tell you, it was one gynecologist from Akluz, Dr. Vandana Gandhi. You must be knowing her. She
Yes.
invited me to Akluz for a lecture, and after my lecture, it was I think possibly 2016. And then she experimented this lifestyle on some 2022 of her PCOS patients. And when she
Mm.
wrote to me, she said that two of them conceived with the lifestyle without any intervention, and all of them lost weight. So this was the first thing that a gynecologist has given me this particular feedback, and I published it in my book also. Now we are doing research with Dr. Sanjay Gupte, a very famous gynecologist from Pune, and Dr. Shobhana Patted, who is a gynecologist from Belgaum. We are
He
doing this.
happens to be our past president of Fogsi as well,
Yeah.
in
So
my mentor and my teacher.
great. So what happens with the lifestyle on on the PCOS and all that? So we are doing that research, and logically speaking, if insulin resistance is the reason, one of the reason for PCOS, then if you
Yeah.
reduce insulin level, it should
Yeah.
benefit, and it has
Yeah.
benefited.
Okay. Okay. That's something interesting. I think we all, as gynecologists, can take up this as a part of our day-to-day practice, and we can come together and have a study, because we are 43,000 odd
Yeah.
gynecologists in the entire country, and if all of us come together, the kind of data which we can come out with, and it may be both ways. We don't know what the outcome would be, but as you have rightly said, the logic and the research papers what have already been published on this, I think it should definitely help to reduce the obesity as well as the PCOS burden or the severity of PCOS in the society.
Yeah. I'll be very happy, Chaitanya, to if any gynecologist anywhere in India is interested to conduct this research, I will be very happy to share the protocol. I will be very happy even to come to the center and talk to you. I'll be very happy for that.
Absolutely, that would be a great initiative. I think Dr. Ashwini and Dr. Sunita, madam, would surely look into it. But whosoever wants to do or collaborate with Dr. Dikshit sir, he has openly, given the invitation to join hands and start something on the topic of PCOS. Sir, in your CV, you have said that you were invited by our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Narendra Modi ji. He is also himself a proponent of the lifestyle what you are. So he is very strict on his lifestyles. That's what we know. Whatever we know about him. So what was that experience like? How did it happen? I mean, how did you get a call from his office to have a lecture for their staff?
Yeah. Actually, it started. Actually in December 2019, I was called there at PM office. But before that, It was possibly 2017-18 when Mr. C.R. Patil, who is a now minister in central government,
Yes. Yes.
and earlier he was BJP president of Gujarat, and he is MP from Navsari. So he watched my lectures on YouTube, and he lost 14 kg weight, and he
Wow.
called me to Surat and Navsari to give lectures. And at that time, I had told
And
him
this was without
that
your knowledge.
it was without my knowledge. So, and
Yeah.
when I went to Navsari and Surat, and I gave lectures, 3, 4 lectures I gave there, and in some discussion, I was telling him that if Modi ji talks about this in Man Ki Baat, because this is cheap, it doesn't require any money, and if people follow
Yeah.
this, it can help a lot of people. So then at
Yes.
that time he said that I cannot say whether he will do this or not, but definitely I will convey what I am doing to him. And it happened so that when
Hmm.
C.R. Patil was passing by near Modi ji, and Modi ji asked C.R. Patil ji that, C.R., how you have lost your belly? And then C.R. Patil said that I am following Dr. Dixit. And then he came to know about the lifestyle and all. And then he must have inquired with his team
Okay.
about the campaign and everything. And then I was called to Delhi. And I went to Delhi, gave lectures to PMO staff, which included from his driver to his chief scientific advisor,
Wow.
give lecture to SPG, and I gave a lecture in Parliament to MPs. There are about 250 MPs who attended my lecture. And then
Wow.
I could meet Modi ji. It was about 15 minutes he gave me for this meeting. And after
Quite
5 months, December 2019, I met him, and I think April, May, a news came in Dainik Bhaskar. Journalists asked Modi ji, what is your diet plan? And the heading of the news item is PM मोदी का डाइट प्लान, दिन में 2 बार भोजन, हर बार 55 मिनट में पूरा करते हैं खाना. So possibly Modi ji also follows this lifestyle. It was a very great experience being
wow.
with him for 15 minutes. It was a great experience.
Wow. That's really commendable, and that's really amazing that what you have done with your lifestyle changes, and I hope that many of us would start following that. Well, I just wanted to ask you that as a community of obstetricians and gynecologists and your lifestyle modifications, how can we come together, to reduce the burden of obesity? Because that is again very important. And in our Sampurna program, we are also taking that up as one of the key factors which are looking at in the preconception period also. So can somewhere, we come together and join hands for the benefit of the society at large?
So my suggestion, actually, you are doing some part of it. So if you are looking at the girls who are not married, 18, 19, 20 years, at that time, if we can get their HbA1c and fasting insulin done, because once your HbA1c is more than 6.5, your boat has started sinking. First, your insulin increases. So if we can catch them at that point where insulin is 20, 22, something like that, but HbA1c is normal and they are pre-diabetics. At that time, if we advise them this lifestyle, I'm very sure they will lose weight, their insulin will go down, their HbA1c will go down, and they will do wonderful. Means, so we can do something about it before marriage. After marriage also, of course, PCOS and PCOD, we can work together. That is also there. And now I am also developing interest in GDM also. That after GDM, because some of them would continue to have diabetes, some of them would have diabetes after 3, 4 years. Now, what
Yeah.
exactly happens? What are the risk factors? One of my postgraduate students also is doing a research on that dissertation. So hopefully there can be 3, 4 areas where we can work
But then
together.
in cases of GDM, we are going to do the lifestyle
No,
modifications
no.
after the birth.
Yeah, yeah. After the birth of the baby, and the baby completes 9 months, then we will do that.
Completed 9 months. Okay. And
Yeah.
why is that? It does affect lactation?
Yeah, what happens is because in the breastfeeding period, because I'm not very sure about it, but what I'm saying is physiologically she's under stress, because at
Okay.
what time she will sleep, what time she will get up, and all that, and what food, how many times she will eat. It is very difficult to control that time. So it's a good idea to stop till 9 months.
Okay. Sir, we are almost close to 9, so maybe we have to wind up, in next 5 minutes. But I would like to utilize these 5 minutes very wisely. And
If you allow me, If you
Yes,
allow me, then let me tell what we have learned in the campaign for last 12
absolutely.
years about
Absolutely.
diabetes. We
Yeah.
have learned that diabetes in the country is underdiagnosed because many times it is done with blood sugar, and
Mm.
Indian mentality is to be afraid to get diagnosed. So you tell somebody to go for blood sugar tomorrow. Today he will eat less. He will not eat sweets. Even he will run for 5 kilometers. So
Yes.
tomorrow blood sugar is normal. So if we do HbA1c, we will diagnose 30 to 40% people more as pre-diabetic or diabetic. So that is the one. That is one thing. Second thing, I say diabetes is over-treated. So why I'm
Mm.
saying over-treated? Because all guidelines say that type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disorder, and first 3 months we should suggest lifestyle modification.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the lifestyle modification that is suggested today has failed miserably over years, and that advice is eat multiple times and walk or go for exercise. So no patient has seen benefit with this lifestyle, and no doctor has seen benefit with this lifestyle. So nobody advises it. So in one of my research, we found that 50% of the patients who started medicine the same day they're diagnosed with diabetes. So it is overtreated. Third thing we
Correct.
learned Third thing we learned that it is not the absolute blood sugar or HbA1c value that should decide whether we can give lifestyle or not, but it is the end organ damage that should decide whether lifestyle can be given or not. Because
Mm.
if somebody is having HbA1c of 12 today, doesn't mean that it has happened overnight. At least for 3 months it was like that. Maybe
Mm.
for 1 year it was more than 10. And despite that, if his organs are normal, we can safely advise Dixit lifestyle. I have advised lifestyle, highest HbA1c was 16.7, and in 5 months he came to 6. Fourth thing we learned is hypoglycemia is an opportunity to reduce the dose of diabetes medicine. When somebody gets hypoglycemia, you tell them at that time you have to eat something sweet, good. You have to increase blood sugar. But next day, you have to reduce the dose of his glimepiride from 1 to 0.5 milligram. And that is the only way of diabetes remission you can
Mm.
do.
Mm.
The fifth thing that we learned is weight loss is not a prerequisite to improve your HbA1c. Because some people lose weight because of uncontrolled diabetes and medicines like metformin. And when they start following this lifestyle, actually they will put on weight because their blood sugar control will improve. These are 5 things that we learned from the campaign.
One thing, what a question that always came to my mind, that when we are saying you have to exercise, many of the times when you go to a gymnasium to work out, the first thing what they say that immediately after the workout, you should have, 25 grams or 2 scoops of protein, whey protein. And
Yeah.
now if I decide to start follow twice a day meal, and I'm going to a gym in the morning, for example, then I'm not going to have that protein immediately after the exercise, because that's not my time to have my first meal of the day, and then I would be having it during my meal. So will that affect my muscle strength, or will it lead to muscle injury? That's a question which comes to my mind, and then we are afraid of exercising.
So you and me both read physiology, Guyton, maybe. And
Yes.
all the gynecologists who are listening to me, they also read physiology. So have we ever heard that after exercise your muscle fibers are broken, and if you don't give them proteins, they will be like that only? We have not heard of this. This is so many times jokingly in my lecture I said that gymnasium is the only place where a qualified MD medicine doctor will listen to a 12th failed trainer about his diet.
True.
And
True.
they will advise you some protein powders and all that, which is all humbug and which is not required. You normally we do exercise for fitness. You do for 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and you don't require anything extraordinary to take. You can take
Mm.
your proteins in your meal. You can eat eggs, chicken, fish, meat, whatever you want to take. You can take sprouts, you can take milk, you can take paneer, and that will solve your problem. There is no need to take anything immediately after your exercise. But if you are hungry after exercise and that
Mm.
matches with your meal time, you can eat, no problem. But no need of taking any protein powders from market which are supplemented by maybe steroids and other things. Now ICMR also says avoid protein supplements.
Wow, interesting. So it all makes sense when we are discussing these things with you, because you put so much science into it, so much research into it. So before we close, what would you like to give us as a message at large? Maybe if you can quickly recap about the lifestyle modifications that you are recommending before we close.
Because I think there's hardly 1 minute left or what.
That's fine. We can go over by a few minutes.
Okay.
That's fine.
So what happens is, first of all, let me tell you that the average life expectancy of doctors is less than the common ordinary people.
That's
So as
correct.
a doctor, I think, as a doctor, what we should understand is that our health is the most important thing. I say, sar salamat to pagdi
What we
50.
that's what we ignore many a times.
Yeah, and then many times we feel that, no, if I don't do this, who will do this? But nobody is indispensable in this world. So you have to maybe compromise on some money, you have to compromise on some work, compromise on some name also possibly, but you must give importance to your health. So first of all, I will request all the gynecologists who are diabetes, non-diabetes, obese, first try this lifestyle on yourself. If you have
Yeah.
not done your HbA1c fasting insulin, do it tomorrow. You measure your what 4 benefits you will get if you follow this lifestyle. I will pray you, out of 100 years of your life, give me 3 months. Tomorrow measure the 4 parameters: weight, waist circumference, HbA1c, fasting insulin. You in 6 months you will lose about 6.8 kg weight. In 6 months you will lose 1.5 inches from your belly. Your HbA1c will go down. Your fasting insulin will go down. And if it really happens, whatever I'm saying, if it really happens, I always say, don't trust me, trust your own experience. And if it happens to you, trust your experience, make it a lifestyle, and then promote this idea. Understand that for a medicine, there can be sponsors. For a surgery, there can be sponsors. But for a lifestyle, especially the lifestyle that is free, there can't be any sponsor. So only you people, if you experience it and promote this idea, like many gynecologists are supporting me, if you do it, then I'm very sure, because this campaign doesn't belong to Dr. Dixit. It was never belonged to my mentor, late Dr. Jiskar, not to my 150 coordinators. But it is the campaign of citizens of this world, actually, because 12 crore people are suffering from diabetes. And unless and until all of us join hands, nothing is going to happen. So I request all of you to experiment, to get experience, and then make it a lifestyle and promote this idea.
Thank you so much, sir. That was wonderful talking to you, speaking to you, getting inputs from you for the last almost 1 hour. We have crossed 1 hour, but we never got to know when we finished 1 hour. But
And you asked so fantastic questions, Chaitanya. I'm so thankful to you for this interview.
Thank you so much. And I think we all should come together again in the fight against PCOS, and we should advise the lifestyle modifications that you have described today. And let's see how we can come together to reduce the burden of PCOS. Thank you so much once again for being on the podcast on the Fogsi.
Thank you so much.
Gyan Pravah. Thank you so much, and I have a very good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.